We are joined today by a LaRue County Hawk turned high school wrestling official. There's a lot of wrestling in LaRue County. I think the most famous wrestler probably is Abraham Lincoln. Your Ozzie Parkers, your Jim Shaws, your Jason Dietrichs,
Todd
Scott
Allen.
Coopers, all those guys like that. Though they're pretty good, but I think Abraham Lincoln is probably the most famous wrestler. But TJ, man, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got into officiating. Tell us how you got into wrestling. Tell us who you are.
All right. Well, my name is TJ Elmore. I moved to LaRue County like 2000, and I was playing football, and it just wasn't working out. So I was hanging out with all the couple upperclassmen, the actual head coach now, Elijah, Zweep, and Brandon Payne, and Brad Walters, all those guys, and they asked me to come out and wrestle. And I wrestled when I was a kid, like AAU.
Mm-hmm.
And just for 1 year, my dad was a wrestler. So I got into it, and we'd hang out and play NFL Blitz on 64.
Yep.
You remember that?
Oh, dude, I was the king of NFL Blitz, man.
It was cutting edge. So, and anyway, my buddy Brandon Payne, he started trying to mess with me, and and he was really good. And we ended up wrestling for like 30 minutes, and I was giving him everything I could. So he was like, come out, you got to come out and wrestle. So I did, and I got the varsity spot right away. There was a spot there, and so that was my sophomore year, and I did okay. I think I ended up with I barely broke like 50-50 on my win-loss ratio. But what was awesome about it was people I was losing to, like the beginning of the season, I was beating at the end of the season, which is a really awesome feeling. And for anybody that feels discouraged, stick with it, and you'll see that progress. But end of the year, I was doing pretty good. I actually qualified for state my first year as a sophomore at 171, and it was good. It was fun. Coach Canner was my coach, and he was kind of like a father figure to us. We were a bunch of hoodlums, so wrestlers are unique, and
Absolutely.
yeah. So he kind of he taught us how to work, do things, pushed myself to a point where I didn't know I could do, didn't know I could work that hard. And my thing was, what made me get better fast is because I hated losing. I was the type that would like cry, and I would get so mad, not mad at anybody else but myself. And so say I got beat in one certain way, I would go back and I would study how to defend that move, and then I would actually take that move and put it in my arsenal. Even though I was more like I did the basics. I like throws and stuff that chin whips, like it's not illegal now. But
yeah.
So anyway, qualified for state. I went 2-0 actually. I wrestled a guy named Bohannon or something. I can't remember where he was from, but then I wrestled Ben Vessels, and it was like wrestling like a brick wall.
Yeah.
It was like I had nothing, and so he was, I went 2-0. It was fun. I got to sit and watch, my teammates, and at the dungeon.
Yeah.
That was 2000.
And Ben was in the finals in 2001 against Eric Slugans from Woodford, and then Ben won the state championship at 189 pounds in 2002. So
That's right.
Wrestling Ben, that's a tall task.
Yeah, and Eric, he was the best wrestler I ever wrestled. He was, because at the time I wrestled him, I was a senior, and that was like my experience with greatness. It really was, and I tell people that it was like I never, because physically I was a little bit taller, but he just wanted to win, and that's what he did. And it was an awesome experience. Even though he actually pinned me at state tournament, and I quit wrestling like a couple weeks before state tournament my senior year. I got really burnt out. I quit for a week. I came back. Well, I lost my seeding, so I was ranked. It was me, Jacob Unger, and Sluggins, and I lost my ranking. So when I went into state tournament, I was like a low seed. So I saw Eric Sluggins in the second round.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I took him down. That's my bragging rights. I think I took him down in a bear hug. That was my move. That was my signature move. You don't see people do it very much anymore, but it's always there.
Yeah.
You can go straight out of a shot fake, and but then he put me in a cradle, and he had like the death grip, and he was shorter, so his arms were shorter, so he had me all bowed up, and I thought I was good, and I relaxed for 1 second, and they called me pinned, and I was pretty upset. So I ended up having to come back and wrestle. I wrestled a total of 7 matches over that I think it was a 2-day period, 2 or 3-day period. I can't remember.
3-day.
3-day. That's right. So I wrestled 7 matches in those 3 days because I had to come back from that loss in the second round, and it was tough. I didn't pin anybody.
Yeah.
Every match I had went the full 6 minutes, and it was rough. But I was pretty good in that weight class at the time.
Yeah. And you ended up getting what, third that year? Is that correct?
My senior year, I got third. I got third my junior year too.
Okay. That was so 2001 and 2002, third place. Pretty good. Pretty good career there in high school.
Third place from LaRue County, T.J. Elmore.
So the high school wrestling ends. Life happens. You go your own way. What year do you start officiating?
I was 6 years ago. So I was I was 34. So I had been out of actually 35. This will be my 6th year coming up.
Okay.
So I think I was 35, and I wanted to come help out at LaRue County because I just missed it, and I wanted to get back involved. Well, they have like a abundance of coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to my friend Brad, and he was like, we don't really need any more coaches, but we do need officials. And I was like, well, hey, and he said, talk to Brent's. And so I called Brent's, and I actually took my test before I got my book. So it was hectic. It took me forever to get it done. I was looking on the internet and stuff, trying to find all my answers and everything, and I passed it. But that's how I got back into it. And it was
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It was just interesting because when I wrestled, I didn't know all these rules. I knew like what was illegal because I got disqualified for locking hands one time.
Yeah.
And so I knew what was illegal. I knew what I couldn't do. But as far as all the technical, the rules and literal technical violations, the unsportsmanlike, the unnecessary roughness, the inbounds, out of bounds, starting positions, blood time, all these things I just, it was like a crash course my first year. And it was a little different at the time. We weren't as organized as we are now.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I started off this YouTube journey doing the rules of high school wrestling, just because of what you said. There are so many little ticky-tacky exception. If this happens, you got to do this. And I was like, 98, 99% of the problems that I'm dealing with as an official is people just don't know the rules. They're getting third, fourth, fifth generation passed down information from people that got it wrong to begin with. So how in the world can it possibly be right now? And that's why I like going through the rule book, saying what you can find this in Rule 752. It's the penalty 753. All this, I always put my if I was presenting a case to a jury, this is my evidence, Your Honor, Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3. That way they can go to the rule book and say, oh, yeah, like I done the video mocking, or with the, not mocking, but the spoof of Pulp Fiction about flagrant misconduct chewing in the corner. I don't know how many guys that and I'm not bragging by this, I'm just saying they would come to the corner with a big chew in, son, and take a big spit, and I'll see it and be like, whoa, my man, whoa, flagrant misconduct, what are we doing? And they're like, what do you mean, Alex? What are you talking about? And I pull up now we use a phone, and it's like, right there, man, flagrant misconduct, any use of tobacco. And they may be aggravated at the time, but the next meet I see them or whatever, they're like, man, you were right, man, we had no idea. So that's why I started the rule series, not just for parents, coaches, but for new officials coming on. And please tell me you use some of my videos to learn from.
I definitely have watched your videos on the way to matches.
Yeah. And well, you know,
I'm not watched them. I put them on the,
right. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I got that idea to do the rules, and I know if you've watched them, understand I was using a cell phone and a free video editing app. I had no experience in front of a camera. I just had the desire. And that's why I tell people, they come up to me now, whether it's wrestling meets or they see me out in public or whatever, about starting a channel or starting this. I tell people, your first however many videos are going to be terrible. You just got to get over it. That's just the way it is. Rome wasn't built in a day. The Roman architects and the Roman laborers, they didn't look at it after one day. And, that's good, fellas. Call this the Roman Empire. No, it took time, as with anything, especially with wrestling. But with officiating, we got to be on our game, bam, from the time that we roll in for weigh-ins until the championship round. Referees got to be on it. Whether if it's a long day, a short day, a duel, a tournament, whatever. And we've got to officiate a bunch together. We've done, I think, middle school state or elementary state, one or the other, maybe both. Yeah. We've done one of the semi-states. We got to officiate the girls' state tournament, which we're going to be doing your state finals match here. But TJ, man, I just finished up my 18th season. You just finished up, you said your 5th. Is that correct?
Yeah, this will be my 6th year coming in.
6th year coming up. And that's the way, for those watching, referees, we really don't take any off season. We're always doing something. We're always going. So the season for high school might end, but that doesn't mean that we end what we do. We're always having Zoom calls, or you can go to off season tournaments. So just because the high school season ends doesn't mean that we stop. So looking back 5 years ago, what would this version of TJ Elmore, if you could get in the DeLorean, go back in time and say, this is what you need to know. This is what is harder than you think. This is easier than you think. What would those be? Because that's going to help out a lot of people coming into the sport.
Well, something I try to tell people is, as an adult, you've already put roots down. It is hard to try something new. And it's a humbling experience. And you have to stay humble and you have to stay open-minded, because, you got people trying to critique you, trying to give you advice, and it can be overwhelming. Sometimes it can be, make you just feel kind of bad, make you just get discouraged, I'm terrible, But I think that's just when you start anything, we all have our, our niches, our things that we've done in our life. We've already established ourselves. So trying something new is scary. Mm-hmm. But it is a process, and something I would probably go back and try to fix is a lot of these bad habits I used to have. And, we've got Andrew, who has brought a lot of really good mechanics to our state, but just bad mechanics, bad posture, being intimidated by coaches and wrestlers and fans and stuff. It's like, it can be scary. It's a hard position to take. So I would say keep your head up and just keep on learning and being open-minded and realizing that you got to start somewhere. It's like you got training wheels on, and you might feel foolish, and you might get in those moments where you get kind of hot, and you get confused. And so that's another thing is, so get those bad habits taken care of. Go through, get your mechanics right, get your positioning right, and get you communicate with the kids.
Yeah.
And so
that go piggybacking off that, TJ. I started when and not trying to do the one upper here, but I started when I was 19 officiating. I graduated in 03. I was 18. I didn't get my license until like that January, I believe, of 2004. So I'd been out of school just a little bit, but nevertheless, I got them. And the intimidation factor, the trying to, as you hear on movies or whatever, trying to buffalo you, trying to get one over on you, coaches or whatever that's been around the sport for a while, or this kid is ranked number 1 in the state, whatever. Parents that you might know trying to work you over. There's an old motto that coaches aren't your friends. Coaches, you're not there to be friends with the coaches. And I'm not saying that I disagree with that, because I've got a lot of great friends that are coaches that I've met through the series, and I've met just in life doing meets or whatever. And I don't necessarily agree with the wording. I'm great, like I'm in Region 8. There's so many coaches that I've met, become friends with all across my region and across the state now since we started the series. But I think the better way to say it is right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. The referee is not there to make the coach happy. The referee is there to call the match. Now, if the call doesn't make the referee happy, hey, it's not to get on your bad side. It's not to get one over on you. It's not to, whatever. It's just, this is the way I saw it. That's the way I called it. If it was your kid, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Thing too is that when you realize that most of us are out here doing this because we love wrestling, and we want to help the sport. We want to help the sport grow. It's not like we're out here trying to take something away from your kid. I always tell these kids, it's like, y'all are. Thank you. I tell them before my duels, I said thank you for all your hard work. And I want to give, what I want to do is I want to give them the fairest chance I can, because they are in there working hard.
Yep.
And so they deserve a fair chance. And, it's just going to be that way. The referees are going to get, we're going to get, a lot of negativity. It's in every sport, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But if you're dedicated and you care about wrestling and you want to help, this is a good way to do it. It's hard though. It's hard. It's just that, it's a good way to give back, and it's a good way to be involved with these kids. And I always try to be encouraging to both wrestlers, win or lose. I try to be encouraging, tell them good job. And
absolutely.
And
talking about, loving the sport, even we're filming this on May 9th, 2024, this past season. Even the number of referees that we brought on, even the junior official program and all that, there were still high school meets that had to be canceled because we just didn't have enough referees to go around. And that's not a fun experience to have. And it's not, I don't want to say it's not good for the sport, but it kind of is, it's just deflating when some schools, they have to submit requests to get the gym before the season starts. Hey, you can get the gym 3 days, 2 Saturdays, and maybe a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whatever. and they get the gym to get all the mats set up, and just don't have enough referees to go. They got teams coming, don't have enough referees, and that's not what we want. That's not what we want to.
A lot of these people, a lot of us are having to travel to.
Yeah.
I've had to travel almost 3 hours on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
You know?
And you come to the Appalachian Wireless Arena in Pikeville for a 2-day deal, and that's what, 3 hours, 3.5 hours from your house.
Yeah. That was that Hatfield and McCoy.
Yeah, Hatfield McCoy 32
tournament. That was a great tournament. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go back because it's such a long drive and you're away for 2 days.
If you can't come, just send your dogs that are barking, and we'll make sure that they everybody loves dogs nowadays, man. So
that's like my security system,
I was gonna say, man, is that Cujo and Turner and Hooch or whatever? You said one thing, TJ, that I want to hit on, and so many refs have said the exact same thing, or something at least to the effect of a long day. We got to be there for weigh-ins, do weigh-ins. Breaks are sporadic, all that kind of stuff. Then you got to be, the finals. Everybody wants to see the finals. Everybody comes out for the finals, whether it's a state tournament or just a weekend meet or whatever. Officials, if you need a break, take you a break. Don't let anybody tell you we're running this, we're running that. If you need 10 minutes to restroom, get some water, get a Gatorade, a body armor, get some food, do it.
Yeah.
We're adults. And I understand maybe not doing it in the middle of a match unless you just have an injury or some type of medical episode or whatever. After that match finishes, hey, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
This mat, I will not be on it for the next 10 to 15 minutes. If you guys want to put another ref on it, if you want to give this mat a break, that's fine. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to the hospitality room. I'm going to the restroom, because there's nothing worse than overexerting yourself and missing a call, missing calls back to back just because you're distracted, you're hungry, you need to go to the restroom, you are thirsty, you're aggravated, you're hangry, and you get into it with somebody you shouldn't. Maybe you may make a bad call, coach takes you to the table, and you get into it, and you have to, you go to verbal jabs, you ruin a friendship, relationship with the coach. Say and tell the coaches in the coaches meeting, when we need a break, we're taking it.
Yeah.
Maybe not the whole tournament, but a referee needs a break, we're going to take it, because I'm telling you.
I used to take things personally, and I would get pretty upset, because they were giving you the business, talking down to you, looking at you, mouthing off from the corner. I would get kind of mad.
Right.
But something I've learned over the years is that it's really important to stay professional.
Yeah.
And to kind of not take things personally. And, I don't argue, I may, have a quick back and forth with someone if they're getting out of line. But, I don't let myself get upset. I don't argue. I don't insult other coaches. I don't get involved in those kind of arguments anymore. I try to stay very professional, because I have a pretty serious position where, I'm making calls on, trying to give these kids the fairest chance possible. So I don't want to look like, I'm out here being emotionally involved. Like, I'm just out here to work and to watch wrestling and to make the calls the best I can. But I tell you what, something else I want to hit on real quick is when you get in a situation where something may go wrong, you may mess up a call. This is something I wish I had known. If you miss a call, for me, I'd be watching the next match and I'd be thinking about that call I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing, in doing that, I'm distracted thinking about that call I messed up, and then I mess up more. And it's like it snowballs. So I would tell myself, if I could go back, I'd tell myself to kind of compartmentalize. If you mess up, just put it in the back of your mind. You can think about it later in the day. Maybe something you can learn from. But if you get distracted and you start worrying about calls you made, a couple matches ago, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So I say, call what you see, keep your mind clear, try to focus on what's happening in front of you, and don't worry about what happened in the last match.
Yeah, no, that's a great piece of advice, and I tell anybody that I officiate with, if there's, we're doing a tournament or whatever, most outside of state tournament or state duels, and I've even got to be the head official at a couple of regions, is all we have our own little meeting, locker room, whatever, is if you see another one of our referees getting into it beyond something at the score table and you can hear voices getting raised or whatever, you can just feel something about ready to, hey, coach, we need to stop this match just next out of bounds. Go over there, defuse that situation the best as possible, because what we don't want is to see coaches and officials getting into a fight. Officials and fans, officials and whoever getting into a fight, or being assaulted or whatever. That is not what that is. That is worst case scenario. And there's been you don't have to say who or where or what, but I think you know where I'm going with this. We done a meet this year, and there was a match that we almost had some wrestlers get into it over one of the officials. He was in over his head pretty much, and as soon as I saw it, I went straight to the mat. I knew one of the wrestlers, pulled him off to the side. Just, hey, come on, man, use your head right here. You're too good of a wrestler to do that. And then we conversed back and forth with the tournament directors, and that referee didn't get to do. He got to officiate, but he didn't do any placement matches or any of the finals, because we just didn't want that situation to progress. And we told him, hey, man, thanks for coming, but this is a little bit out of your league right now. And sometimes you just have to take that role of, not all wrestling is created the same. Not all matches are the same. There's some, when you get into some high level scrambling and some of these near fall situations where dudes go back and forth without a break, and you've got about 8 different sets of near fall in a period, it can get confusing and it can get away from you fast. Oh, yeah. And that was what we done. But TJ, man, let's talk about your state tournament that you got to officiate this year. 2024 was the girls' first state wrestling tournament, and you, along with myself and 8 other Kentucky referees, got selected to work the first ever girls' state tournament. And a little tidbit is we actually got to share a room on the state tournament night. So that was, that's the way KHSAA does. It always put, 2 referees together in the same room. And it was pretty nice because I had the room to myself Wednesday night and Thursday night, and you were, of course, made it there. We were roommates on that Friday night. So the state tournament, man, your first one, when you get that email that you're selected, it feels pretty good, don't it?
Yeah, I was surprised. I work out here in Region 2, and I work out towards Owensboro a lot. I don't get a whole lot of high level matches, so I felt I was really pleased, because somebody must have thought I could handle it, and I thought it was a good tournament for me. It was. I didn't have any. I got taken to the table one time, and it was just I was able to explain it. I'm the girl. It looked like she was on her back. She was on her belly. She bellied down. The girl, she got thrown. She bellied down at the last second. I started swiping. I got over there. I realized she was on her belly. So he wanted to know why I swiped. I explained it. That was the only time I got taken to the table for the whole tournament. So I was pleased.
Yeah, we had a great crew. Ford, Brittle, Ragsdale, you, Kristen, John Eschen was out there with us. I mean, Rob, Patrick McNutt. We had a really, really great crew.
Absolutely.
It
was fun.
It was a great experience. It really was. The girls deserved the same treatment as the boys, the same venue, the same pop and circumstance. And that's what makes the state tournament what it is the venue. Eyes of the state are there. Kentucky's such a big state. Very few times outside the state tournament do you have schools from, your Union counties, Christian counties wrestling, your Northern Kentucky's wrestling, your Eastern Kentucky's wrestling, your Woodford counties, your Wayne, your McCreary's and Whitley's and all that. So it's great that we have the venue that we do now back at the Horse Park, the same build up, same atmosphere, and every girl that we've done review videos with, they have brought up just how cool it was to get to be on the same stage as the boys. So it was a kudos to the KHSAA, man. But you got to officiate, I believe, the 132-pound match, and we're going to pull up the video here. I got to officiate, I believe it was the 126 match, and you were right after me. So you're kind of watching the matches. Do you get up beforehand and kind of like stretch, or do you kind of talk to McNutt like, hey, just keep me out of trouble? What are we doing here before we go out on the mat?
Well, honestly, I try to look at it like any other match. Like I do this all season. It's like if I'm not ready now, I'm not going to be ready. So
exactly.
I just kind of just go out there and just try to do my best. Like every match, sometimes it gets away from you if you're having a long day, and a lot of these big arenas, it can get a little hot under the collar. There's a lot of people watching you. So keeping your composure and just trying to call it like any other match, really, and just do my best. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, Here I go. It's just another match. Some really amazing wrestlers who I have, a ton of respect for.
Absolutely. And you've got right here, man, you're going to talk about eyes on you. You've got a Union County wrestler and a Woodford County wrestler, two of the most historic programs in the state. Union County currently has the most team state championships for the boys with 1, the most individual state champions. Woodford County, they're second place with the team titles with 13. They're second place with the most individual champions. I mean, just some of the names from Union County history, Woodford County history, could have their own history books on those two schools. So you got them facing off in the finals, man. Pretty good finals match. So we've talked about it enough. Let's hit it.
All right.
And
from Union County, Bruce Ray, and from Woodford County, Warren Thompson. Let's get on.
Wait for the go ahead.
all right, so you back up, give them room to work. Smart. Right out of the gate, the Woodford County girl, Lauren, is on the offensive. You give a takedown. Look like you counted some swipes there. You're holding it. You give your 2 near fall. Good mechanics there, awarding it like that. That's the way it should be done, young officials. You're staying in front of their head. That way you can watch, which is a good mechanic.
Yeah. I try to keep a good energy. I'm it helps me focus if I keep
And there it is, man. That was a quick one. 50-second pin in the finals.
Hey, that girl from Woodford is a hammer.
And she's tough.
She's incredible. To
She is.
finish like that in the finals is impressive.
And I wish it was a little bit longer for you, but 50 seconds, man. You get in, you get out, you get it done. But, you're there. You had, I don't know, probably 30, 40 matches throughout the day. And that one, your finals match just happens to be the quickest pin of the whole, I believe the whole finals. So it was a great experience, though. I mean, you can always say you got to officiate the girls' state tournament, the first one in Kentucky, and you now are on the state tournament level. You're going to be a resource for newer officials, asking questions, reaching out. Hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? So, TJ, man, we've covered a lot here, a lot of ground, talked a lot about advice and all that kind of stuff. But is there anything that we've missed? Anything that you want to go over that we haven't done so far?
Two things I want to bring up. Talking about staying professional, it is important to remember that there's a lot of emotions involved. These wrestlers are working so hard and they train every day, and the coaches invest everything into these kids. So if they get emotional, it's just part of it. I've had coaches where, we'll be, on good terms and we'll go out in a match and they'll get mad at me, or I have a wrestler get mad at me, or, and it's like, I just don't take it personally.
Right.
I understand that they're emotionally charged. They're looking out for their kids. And so when it gets, I try to diffuse the situation and try to stay calm, because, it's going to happen. Big emotions. They're out there they're exhausted, So I say, give them a somewhat a benefit of the doubt, as long as they don't cross the line. You got to have your own boundaries. You establish your own boundaries. So, you can get away with this, but you can't, once you cross this line, then you're looking at, losing points.
Yeah.
And so that's something I've tried to tell people and try to practice myself, is to let these guys express themselves, let them have emotions, and don't take it personally. And the other thing we talked about earlier was, a lot of the times when you're out there and you're in the spotlight and there's all eyes on you, maybe it's a high profile match, a lot of the information or you think kind of, it'll fly out the window, because your heart starts racing. You get just overexcited. You get, and it's like you might mess up a call, a simple call, just because I call it stage fright. And so, part of this is, obviously a huge part of this is knowing the rules, but keeping your composure on the mat, keeping yourself calm. That's why I am like big energy. That's why I'm like always, like, it keeps me focused. Because if I'm just walking around, I might start thinking about, what's for dinner, anything, you get distracted. So, focusing on what's happening in front of me and just breathe, if you need a little bit of caffeine or, whatever it is to give you the energy to get through, just try to stay focused on what's happening in front of you, and, get the mechanics down. That's one of the hardest things for me, was to learn the actual hand signals.
Yeah.
Learn, like, what I always quiz guys, like, what's the 5 technical violations? And I didn't know that for a long time, but now I do. And so just learning stuff like that, memorizing all that stuff, getting those mechanics down.
And now we've got the one that we've done the most over the years. 2 is now going to be 3.
Man, I don't even know. I'm waiting for these guys to teach me all that stuff.
And we're doing 4 near fall now.
That's wild.
And we're doing my time. I'm trying to get where the camera can see here. My time.
Yeah, okay.
Is it going to be my time? My time? My time? Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows?
I tell you what, man. I took a sign language class this past spring, and it's honestly, it reminds me a lot of sign language.
I get it. I used to know my name in sign language, but I couldn't for the life of me do it now. But man, great review video, great information here. I'm glad that we both got selected for the girls' state tournament. It was a big honor to get to do it.
Yeah.
First
Real
one.
Quick, man, I want to thank you for everything you are doing, man. You're talking about Rome. They also say all roads lead to Rome, and you're building an empire here, man. And it's a beautiful thing what you're doing. You're really pushing this wrestling on, and I appreciate what you're doing. You're working hard. You're putting a lot of hours in here, and so I thank you for everything you've done to contribute and add and give life, and all these reviews you're doing, man. You're working your butt off. and that's awesome. So thank
Man,
you.
I appreciate that. I really do. This has become my life's work, if you will. I really, growing up, and I've told this story, but I think it's been a while when I think Bruce and Mindy Step was the first time that I mentioned it, and that was back in that was I think that was the 22-23 wrestling season. We done that because we done one of Bruce's review videos after a meet. But I said, and just real quick, growing up, man, I was big into professional wrestling. You know, me and you same age. I was real big into, you know, in the 80s, we got, you know, the heroes, the villains. We got the Hogans, the Savages, the Warriors. We got all the big characters. You know what I'm saying? And as a kid, you go into Toys R Us or Heels or whatever store, you'd see the wrestling figures and you'd see the big bright packaging and you'd see them, you know, on the like, oh my God, I gotta have it. So as a kid, man, like that's all. Every Christmas, every birthday, every time something like that come up when I was up until I was probably, I don't know, in high school, probably 12 or 13. That's all I wanted was like just wrestling figures. I wanted the rings. I wanted all the accessories because it was like, I can't recreate what I'm seeing on TV if I don't have all the figures, if I don't have all the rings, and I don't have the stuff to play with like they do. So I was like, I just love being able to collect stuff like that and having the full roster, the full ring set, the full all that at my disposable, so I could create my own. You know, who cares what was going on TV? What was going on in Alex's mind when he was 8 years old in his bedroom playing? You know, this guy may be good on TV, but to me, you know, he can be a bad guy. He can be this. He can have to be Hulk Hogan's buddy. He can beat Hulk Hogan up. So now with this series, it's like it's a whole new type of collecting for me. The scavenger hunt of finding the state finals videos, and then finding the guys on social media. You know, maybe somebody that's been out of contact for 30 years with people. They randomly pop up, hey, sending me a message. Hey, man, I was a state champion in 1982, 1997. Can we do my review video? My family's never seen it. Of course, absolutely. That's why we're doing it, man, so we can get the exposure out there. And then the guys that have sat down with me that are dads now, grandpas even, maybe even great-grandpas, and been able to say, my wife, my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, they never got to see me wrestle. They've always heard about it. They may have a photo in the yearbook or who knows, but they never got to see me wrestle. Now, I couldn't tell you the number of people that have sent me short little video clips or like a photo of their family watching their video, and not everybody's just glued right to the TV, you know, watching dad, grandpa wrestle. And I'm just like, man, that is so cool that this series means that much to people. So I went from collecting professional wrestling 5-inch pieces of plastic when I was a kid to now, you know, doing this, collecting the state finals videos and then doing the review videos themselves, just so people can have the collection at their disposal. So like, oh yeah, I remember wrestling that guy, or I remember beating that guy, or I remember, like you said, taking down Eric Slugans, man. That was the highlight of your wrestling career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, man, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it.
Well, I got a question for you. Who was your favorite professional wrestler?
As a kid, my favorite growing up, when I say a kid, I'm talking somewhere between about 4 or 5 years old up until I was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9, was Hulk Hogan. I just loved the Hogan character, just the bright colors, ripping your shirt off, all that kind of stuff. As I got a little bit older, it was the Undertaker. I love the hang on a second. I got to get something. I want to show you something. All right, I'm back. Now, I talked about collecting action figures and all this kind of stuff. I want to show you. This is the original in the package Undertaker from 1996. I tore the you can see I took the price tag off of it. It's still sealed. I mean, it's the original in the box, in the package. And I've also got the Series 2. So I've got both of them.
Oh man.
Yep. And
He was so cool.
yeah, and this one it's got glow in the dark skin on it. So I've got the Undertaker Series 1 from the Jakks Pacific Bone Crunching in the package, and the Series 2.
Oh man.
And man, yeah, I
That's awesome.
if they were like my favorites, I would save up grass cutting money and buy one to play with and then one to keep in the package. And over the years, I've just got rid of them or sold them or whatever. But those Undertaker ones, man, those are near and dear to me. As
Undertaker and Kane were.
Oh yeah, those were two of my favorites. The Undertaker, I got to see him a bunch of times in person wrestle. And I was always just like in awe, like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Just the character of the Undertaker, what he was able to do, man. But that's the trip down memory lane for Alex and TJ on professional wrestling, and hopefully you learned something from the referee standpoint, man. TJ, we live 3-4 hours apart, but I'm sure we'll see each other sometime.
It's always a pleasure.
And if I stay with you again, I'm gonna bring a set of headphones. We were getting ready to go to sleep that night, and TJ had was it like a waterfall or something playing?
A sound machine, man.
Sound machine, and he was like, "Do you mind if I play a sound machine?" And I was like, "I never had one before, And he was like, "Go ahead." And I was like, "Okay, And it was going when we woke up that morning. It was like, if I stay with TJ again, I'm bringing me a set of earmuffs. So, buddy, you can white noise it till the cows come home. You know what I mean? But guys, thank you all for watching. That's all that we have. We will see you guys and girls on the mats.